Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to Week 2, and welcome to the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. It's me, your man, MG Marcus Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and Laquan Jones. How are we feeling? Start of Week 2. How are things?
I pulled a hammy playing slow pitch softball last night. For those who think we're not athletes on this show, so I've been better.
You're not helping the allegations though by saying you pulled a hammy.
I hit a home run.
See, there it is.
I pulled a hammy.
There it is.
So.
You know, he
Well, once we hit 30, we're considered unk and we're considered wash. So it is what it is.
Team washed all day.
Yeah, man.
Let's go.
That's why I like those veterans hanging on in the league just a little bit longer to make me feel kind of better about myself for sure. Lots to do today. We're going to go heavy on some starts and sits, but also letting you know, can a couple of rookie pass catchers stay hot in Week 2? Which star tight end might be hitting your bench? And some bold predictions, which include some Redbirds getting hot down there in the desert. So let's dive into the starts and sits. Of course, Michael F. Florio writes the column every single week on NFL.com. You can find it at NFL.com/startsit. And I'm sure everybody just takes it in stride and has just nothing but constructive criticism for you.
I did something I shouldn't have done. I looked at YouTube comments from last week, and people were calling out the start-sit plays before snap was even played. Someone said Emeka Ibuka. I was very dumb to say to start him.
Well,
they vanished.
Yeah. They did like Homer Simpson on Laquan's shirt, just kind of like, you back into the bushes again. You're not going to hear from those people again until Week 2.
No.
And they're on Week 2 comments guaranteed. They're like, this idiot's back.
They're all the way back again. So let's dive into your starts and sits. Let's start with the quarterback position, the guys that you have on the plus side, the guys that you have on the negative side. Who are your starts and sits at quarterback this week?
Just like last week, riding with Justin Fields again. I think he is going to run plenty, and he looked fantastic as a passer. I like Justin Herbert. You got to wait till Monday night. But he threw a lot more than anticipated and looked really good doing so. Kyler Murray just has another advantageous matchup this week. And I know usually when you have a team that gives up the run a lot, you're like, that doesn't help a quarterback. But it's Kyler Murray, so that helps the quarterback. Dak Prescott has a long history of success against the Giants. Drake May gets the Dolphins, and I think we are going to pick on the Dolphins secondary a lot this season. Yeah. And then some sits. Jared Goff. I'm really worried about that O-line, and the Bears were able to generate pressure in Week 1. C.J. Stroud, same thing. That O-line did him absolutely no favors against Laquan's Rams. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not buying the 4-touchdown day. Like, if he doesn't do that, you're probably looking at a much smaller fantasy number. Trevor Lawrence is only for the desperate. I know a lot of people might be considering him because of the matchup. And then Daniel Jones. Like, if I'm not buying Aaron Rodgers, there's no way I'm buying Daniel Jones.
Yeah, the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. You look at the 4 touchdowns. That's great. His average air yards per attempt was like 4.3. Like, that was it. I mean, just extended handoffs from Aaron Rodgers to his pass catchers. I think 75% of his passing yards were at yards after the catch. One of the names on here, Justin Herbert. Laquan, we came into the season thinking the Chargers were going to be really run-heavy. They threw the ball 60% of the time in Week 1.
Wild.
Do we maybe have to readjust our evaluations on Herbo?
Yeah, it looks like they got a new DNA over there, in LA, the other LA team. But I do feel like, this being the Week 1 start, they started off balanced, 50% pass and run last year in Week 1. I think this is a new formula of having Keenan Allen added to this passing group. He has another reliable wide receiver on this offense, and I think they might lean into that. And also, 7 rushing attempts. He looked good with the wheels getting out of the pocket. So I do feel very comfortable having Justin Herbert on my roster. And he's going to be a start and forget for me if he comes out of this week shining how he did in Week 1.
I do want to correct you on one thing. The Chargers are actually the original LA team.
They're the other LA team.
The Rams came from Cleveland. I'm just putting that out there.
Okay. I know my history, brother.
No coach loves their quarterback more than
no one.
Did you see Harbaugh's quote the other day? He was like, Herbert took a hit that would have killed a lesser man. I had tears in my eyes. Like, it's the funniest quote I've ever heard.
Find someone who loves
confidence
you the way Jim Harbaugh loves Justin Herbert.
The confidence he breathes into his players.
Like, I hope he doesn't
that's
have
why I'm a little bit in.
They got replaced.
As we dive into this Charger offense a little bit more, I know we sort of went back and forth about who's the alpha between Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen. Let's also not forget Quentin Johnston, though, in this offense. I know we'll talk about some wide receivers a little bit later on, But are we looking at a situation, Florio, where now there are 3 legit pass catchers to take into account with the Chargers?
I think so. I think Quentin Johnston is going to be a little bit more volatile than the other two. I feel the floors are much safer with Keenan and with Ladd, but the passing volume was funneled through these 3 guys. And I don't see, you look at the rest of their roster and like, I don't see a reason for that to change. Like Quentin Johnston, say what we will about him, but something I pointed out on Fantasy Live is like, even when he was struggling in the past, he was getting open. He was just dropping them, you know? Like, he's now, the catch rate is the biggest thing that changed from week 1 compared to past years. And he's their go-to guy in the red and end zone. So touchdowns alone are probably going to keep him afloat most weeks.
I'm not trying to say he's Devontae Adams, but let's remember, Devontae Adams, his rookie year, had major issues with drops. And Packers fans were ready to be done with him, and he just instead blossomed into one of the top receivers in the league. So, you know, sometimes you can work on a problem and you can get better, and maybe that's what Quentin Johnston is doing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the run. Oh, wait, one more quick thing. Trevor Lawrence is on the sit. Where is he on the middle meter, and does he move up in the middle meter, do you think, this week?
The middle meter needs to be updated. It needs to have like a space down here where I can extend the board to T low because, boy, week 1 was terrible. So hopefully in week 2 we can actually get some movement here. So I do kind of want to move him up in this matchup, but then he has to prove me wrong, you know?
He
So
should
we'll see.
start in the middle and week to week either goes up or down.
If we could offer a revision, you have T law, T mid, and then T low. And you can go from like low to law eventually or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, after week 1 performance, we can revise the board, and he will be at T low of the deep depths of the Earth's core.
All right. He's not even Trevor Mid-Lawrence anymore.
It's just Trevor
T-Low.
Trevor Lawrence is kind of where Laquan has him right now. All right, let's move over to the running backs as we look at the starts and sits there. Who you got up? Who you got down?
I'm playing Breece Hall because the Bills were ran all over, and he has a history of success against them. Omarion Hampton dominated volume and touches and pass game usage, and people still were complaining. It's ridiculous to me. Travion Henderson, I know week 1 wasn't what we wanted, but I think this is a kind of matchup where the big plays come. Tony Pollard just dominates volume, and I think that's enough to make him a strong start in fantasy. And same thing with Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne was so good that they were like, we're going to trade your competition away. And then the sits, it really pains me, Isaiah Pacheco, but the usage really frightened me in week 1, and the matchup is scary. Kenneth Walker did not like the usage at all for week 1. Not a must-sit, more option-dependent. RJ Harvey, just... I know LQ is going to be upset with me over this. I want Harvey to be a thing, but 7 touches and so few snaps, it's hard to trust. The Browns running backs, if Quinshon Judkins plays, if not, Sampson could be in play as a flex option, and then Nick Chubb. Look, I know he had a few good runs in the preseason, but that O-line is going to tear everything down, I think.
It broke my brain to look and see Browns RBs and then Nick Chubb in 2 separate
Honestly, I got confused for a second.
I was like, wait, huh? No, oh, yeah, that's right.
Not used to seeing that.
Not used to seeing that at all. Okay, Laquan, with RJ Harvey, do you want to tell Florio to his face why he's wrong, or do you want to get on your burner and go to the YouTube comments and do it?
Listen, I'm gonna take this from Michael Scott. Why are you the way you are? Why? Why? How do you watch this man lead his team in scrimmage yards, see how explosive he is, and he has that home run? Look, we got the clip. Yes, let's go. And that's in between the tackles. Everybody was crying about him bouncing outside too much. That's in between the tackles, and he's still getting upfield. I think Sean Payton is going to unleash him this week. You know why? Because Manti is my Sean Payton whisperer, okay? Manti, I want to shout you out because if he goes off this game, all the credit goes to him. He is going to be ramped up in these touches, and I think this game, he's going to bounce outside.
Wait, how did Manti Te'o become the Sean Payton whisperer? Like, what's
I was
because
wondering where that was
tie
going to
in
go.
there?
Listen, he knows a little bit that I don't want to disclose yet, but he knows how Sean Payton actually operates as a coach. So I just want to put that out there that Manti's my whisperer when it comes to RJ Harvey moving forward.
Well, I guess they were probably in New Orleans together, right? I was trying to think of like where they would have crossed paths.
Yeah.
They would have been in New Orleans together. All right.
After the Chargers, you went to New Orleans. There you go.
All right, that makes some sense. We'll get back to some more starts and sits a little bit later on in the show, but want to turn our attention to some of the marquee primetime games in Week 2, starting with Sunday Night Football. The Falcons After losing a heartbreaker, they go to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, who pulled one out against the Bears on Monday night. You can see that game on Sunday, 8:20 Eastern time on NBC and at Universo as well. J.J. McCarthy, Florida, was really good in the second half of that game. Would you consider starting him in one QB leagues?
Option dependent, I think. Like, obviously, you're not playing him over any of the top 5 quarterbacks that were drafted. I'm not playing him over Justin Fields. I would rather play Kyler Murray this week. I would rather play Dak. I like Drake May. I like, if you have like him or Goff, I still think I would play.
Would you
Goff.
play him over Caleb?
Ooh,
That's interesting right there.
Because like that, they were the guys that went head to head last week.
I think I would.
Okay.
I like the matchup better.
Okay. All right.
But it's close. It's very close.
All right. Yeah, I think
Falcons pass rush is underrated.
Falcon pass rush is underrated, but let's also not forget what we all believed. Kevin O'Connell will put his quarterback in a position to succeed, and that's what we saw in week 1. You got to believe he can do it again.
The thing I always say with JJ is, like, you're not trusting him. You're trusting KOC, Justin Jefferson, Hawkinson, and all that around him.
Exactly. And look, he's at home, and yes, the Falcons have a good pass rush. They're still not as good defensively as the Bears, so maybe reasons to be optimistic there. As we're talking about this, it is time now for Seize the Season, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Looking at the first touchdown odds for the Sunday night game between the Falcons and the Vikings, you will not be shocked to learn that Bijan Robinson has the best touchdown odds there.
No.
I know, it's hard to believe.
No
right?
way.
That, a guy who's one of the best running backs in the league has the best
Number
odds
2
for
is
first
wild, though, I will say.
Jordan Mason.
No, it's
at
not.
number 2.
Let's go.
Did you put this list together, LQ? This
Yes,
feels
I
like
did. No, I didn't actually. No, I did not.
The fact that Jordan Mason is ahead of Justin
Yeah, that
Jefferson is a little bit wild. Justin Jefferson is
They know
third at plus
something.
650. Aaron Jones is number 4, and then Drake London, both Jones and London coming in at plus 900. So there you go. That was Seize the Season, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. New users can bet $1 to boost their next 20 bets by 100%. Must be 21 or older. See Caesars.com/promos for full terms. We still got plenty left to go through. Still got a couple of Monday Night Football games that we want to dive into, plus some more of the stardoms and situms, wide receivers and tight ends, plus some bold predictions, all still to come here on the NFL Fantasy Football Show. Continuing on through our look at the Week 2 primetime games, we got a pair of Monday night games coming up this week. The first one, the Buccaneers at the Texans. You can see that Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN Deportes. Baker Mayfield, a guy we were drafting as a top 5, maybe top 6, probably top 6, top 7 quarterbacks, probably a little bit more accurate with Baker Mayfield. Decent start in Week 1. The touchdown numbers certainly helped. Laquan, would you consider Baker a start this week against a really physical Texans defense?
Yeah, I'm worried about that pass rush. I'm worried about them getting takeaways from Baker. So I'm kind of pivoting in my own personal leagues from putting Baker in this week because, look, my Rams might have gotten the win, but it was a very close game, a very ugly win. But it was one of those games where the Texans defense was fierce on that defensive line. And I'm not sure with Baker struggling last week in the passing yards, it looked like it was just masked in his fantasy performance by the 3 touchdowns, which is great. But this Texans defense is definitely going to be physical. They're going to be fast, flying around. They're going to be getting that pressure on Baker. So I'm pivoting to other options this week.
Yeah, I also was looking at the wide receiver matchup there for Emeka Egbuka, who was fantastic in Week 1. I would imagine he's going to line up on Derek Stingley a few times. Stingley, one of the top corners in the NFL. I don't expect Stingley's going to travel. I don't think he's going to travel around with Mike Evans. So he may line up on Egbuka. I think this is going to be his first real test as an NFL wide receiver. Yeah. If I have Baker, I'm probably starting him, but I'm kind of with you on I'm not super excited about what it could be this week for him, for sure. The other Monday night game, Chargers in Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. And you can see that game 10 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and also on ESPN Deportes. Ashton Jeanty, not great in Week 1. He scored the touchdown, which definitely kind of helped boost his numbers. The Chargers have a good run defense. Should we be worried about Jeanty this week?
I'm not at that point yet. He played 86% of the snaps last week. He had 21 opportunities. He got the goal line work. To me, that's what I care about most in week one is opportunity, and he had all of it. Now, I get it. Tough Chargers run defense, weak Raiders O-line, but if Genty is the talent that we think he is, he'll be able to overcome stuff like that.
And I should definitely clarify. Like, I don't think this is some like panic. He's a bust or whatever. I think he had, didn't have a great week in week one. I just think he has a tough matchup in week two.
Yeah.
I think over the long haul, Ashton Genty is going to be fine. If you spent a first round or an early second round pick on him, I'm not telling you should freak out and try to like trade him or anything like that.
There were people freaking out on Twitter though.
Yeah, I don't think we're at
After
that point.
week one?
Yeah, like we're a long way from that. Just
It's gonna be a long season if you're panicking.
if you're
in week
panicking
one,
already,
man.
exactly.
You're gonna be
It's just-
stressed.
I just look at it as a tough matchup, and hey, maybe he just didn't get off to a good start.
Someone on Twitter was like, "Is Terry McLaurin done for?" And I was like,
After
"No."
one game.
Yeah.
What are we
What are
doing?
you doing?
It's a reminder that like not everyone, they're living it week to week.
Yeah, I get it. It's a week to week.
Fantasy streets can be crazy, man.
But man, sometimes just take a deep breath. It's gonna be all right.
Woosah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember your pressure points. Let's get back to the starts and sits. Looking at the wide receivers, a lot of names on this side here. Florio, who are your starts and sits here?
I'm going with Travis Hunter, who led the team in targets and catches last week in a game that I think the Jaguars have to throw a lot more. Ricky Pearsall, I know Brock Purdy isn't going to be playing, but I still think he's in play as the top target for the 49ers. Keon Coleman, I'm a believer. He's the top option for Josh Allen. He's the end zone option. Emeka Ibuka, I hear everything you guys were saying. I still think he's going to see a lot of time at a slot, and the Texans gave up the third most slot yards. I know that's Puka Nacua, but still, Calvin Ridley, I think, is just going to have a much better day because he's not going to have Pat Surtain on him for over 80% of the snaps. And then I also have Marquise Brown and Keenan Allen as starts. The sits, Jalen Waddle, because, man, it's getting ugly fast in Miami. Jerry Jeudy. The Browns spread the ball out a lot last week, and the Ravens' defense, I think, is a lot better than it looked in week one. Michael Pittman Jr., for the same reason that Calvin Ridley had a bad game in week one, probably going to have a bad game in week two for Pittman because of Patrick Surtain and then Cooper Kupp. I don't even know if Sam Darnold knows Cooper Kupp is a thing right now.
I know he only got the 3 targets. I think they're going to start spreading it out a little bit more.
They're going to have to.
Like, Jackson Smith and Jigba had 13 targets. The rest of the Seahawks had 9 combined, and that's just not sustainable over the course of a full season.
No.
We'll go a little bit off menu here, Laquan. I know we were going back and forth about who is the alpha in the Chargers passing game. Is it Ladd? Is it Keenan Allen? I feel like this is not going to be the last time we have this conversation. But that being said, Keenan came back to Los Angeles and reminded you of who he was all those years with the Chargers.
Oh, yeah, he did, man. And just looking at the stats, man, 35% of his routes he was targeted on, he only played 61% of the snaps. So that just heightens his attention that he brings on the field and the comfortability with Justin Herbert. I know Ladd is there as well, but he is a complementary piece to this offense. I think he makes a lot of decoy decisions for a lot of defenders making business decisions to obviously cover him because he is just as good. But when Keenan Allen's on the field, he has been nothing but an alpha his entire career. I think there is still a lot of juice left in Keenan Allen. His target separation rate is still above league average. It was last season as well, generated 100 targets with the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams. I think that he's still going to be the Keenan Allen that we known and loved when he was in that Chargers uniform moving forward.
I thought it was interesting that he played a lot out wide. I think we just got so used to him being a big slot receiver and doing damage there, but spent a lot of his time out wide in week one, was heavily used, was pretty much almost exclusively used in 3 wide receiver sets. Again,
No.
the offense a lot more pass heavy in week one than we anticipated, so that definitely helps.
They're getting every ounce of Keenan Allen out. So when those legs get wobbly late in the year,
Right.
it's Ladd McConkey.
We're gonna have that week, right, where Keenan's like on the injury report and he's gonna be like, I'm gonna play this week, and then he'll get like 2 targets. He's going to be like a decoy out there or something like that. Like, we always have
Yeah.
one of those weeks with Keenan Allen every single year.
I do expect them to ramp it up with him, man. I do expect that 61% of snap just kind of gets up there higher and higher, man, because he can still ball, and he's
Yeah,
shown
he'll
that
go-
to that in week
33
one.
though.
The
like,
snap percentage will go up, I think, a little
Dude,
bit.
we're 33.
yeah, I'm not trying to
Again.
play 60% of the snaps in an NFL game.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I pulled my hammy playing slow pitch softball.
keep putting that out there. Like,
I'm just
you know,
saying,
like
that's
we-
not old to me, man. We still out here kicking.
real
I ain't
life,
washed.
no.
It's what we. It's not old for the earth.
It's not too old for the earth.
It's old for the club.
Like, that's what it is. All right, let's move over to the tight ends, though. Florida, who are your starts and sits at tight end?
Now that scene is just gonna run in my head all day. Tyler Warren is a must start already. I don't even think I have to explain that one. Evan Ingram, the weirdest injury thing. Like, we're not getting any news on him. If he ends up playing this week, I think he's solid. If not, obviously you got to go in another direction. Hunter Henry is just underappreciated. And again, I want Patriots in this matchup. Jake Ferguson was the number 2 target for Dak last week, and I think he is a safety blanket. And then Juwan Johnson, I think, is just the apple of Spencer Rattler's eye, for whatever that means. Sits, the Swifties are going to come for me, but I don't love the matchup. I don't love the week 1 usage. I don't love the production going back to last year. So if you have another tight end you like, I think try to get away from Kelsey. Tucker Kraft is super touchdown dependent, at least with the week 1 volume, and even with the touchdown, he didn't have 10 fantasy points. Dalton Kincaid had a big game, but I don't think it was 4 targets. You can't really rely on that. Harold Fannin Jr., I want on as many rosters as I can, but I want to see it a second week and against a tough defense like the Ravens before I just blindly put him in. But again, that's a little bit more option dependent. And then Colston Loveland, like, I want him to be a thing, but Cole Kmet was the tight end 1 on Monday night.
Yeah, that was absolutely wild. Over on the start side, Laquan, you feeling Fergalicious this week?
Yeah, man, Fergalicious. I like that. That's kind of wild, man. But Fergie
Definition?
is in part. Yeah, he's part of this Cowboys offensive game plan. Like, I was really impressed with his target share, 18%. And I honestly think that when you look how this season is going to look, it's going to be the trio of CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson. This is everything Isaiah Stanback has been telling us on his time on Good Morning Football, explaining how this Cowboys offense is going to be operating. That is Dak's security blanket. And we have to remember, in 2023, he led all tight ends in red zone targets with 23. I could see this ramping up as the season progressed. Once they get all in sync and George Pickens' role is in stone of what he's actually going to be, I do think that Jake Ferguson just goes under the radar for a lot of folks, man, and he can ball when he's healthy.
Yeah, I think Dak's going to be better. I think he gets some more help from his teammates, too, and that's just going to help everybody around him in that passing game. All right. For more of the Startup Sit, of course, you can go to NFL.com/startsit and see the entirety of Michael F. Florio's column. Now, get you ready. Get that horchata. Get that glass of milk. It is time for Hot Takes presented by Frank's Red Hot. We're going to close out the show by getting a little bit spicy. Laquan, what is your hot take for the week?
I'm buying tickets to the Kyle Pitts breakout show, and I'm expecting a top 5 performance. I'm not all the way back. I'm going to check it out. The night 1 reviews were cool. They were calm collected, but with Drake London banged up, Michael Penix kept his word that Kyle Pitts will be involved in this offense, and I love how Zach Robinson is using him in this offense, so they're creating opportunities for him to get open and not making him work too hard, so I'm expecting a top 5 performance from Kyle Pitts Sr.
Man, I want to believe it. I feel like I have less faith in the Falcons this week than a lot of other people, but I'm ready to be proven wrong. I will be glad to be wrong. 100%.
I streamed Pitts in the league last week. It worked out then.
Yeah.
A little bit
worried
scared this week.
against the Vikings for sure.
I'll tell you the reviews when I get back from the show.
Sounds good. Florio, what's your hot take for the week?
I think this is going to be Drake May's breakout week because of the matchup against the Miami Dolphins and Daniel Jones and everything that the Colts did last week. So Drake made 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And when I submitted my bold prediction this week for NFL.com, I called my shots on who the 3 touchdowns are going to be. Keyshawn Boutte,
Okay.
Hunter Henry,
Mhm.
Travion Henderson, baby.
Oh, I was waiting
Let's
for a Pop
go.
I was waiting for a Pop Douglas in there, but all right, I'll take that. I'm down with that for sure. My hot take right now. I'm actually up the ante because what I originally said was that both Cardinals running backs score a touchdown, right? That James Conner, Trey Benson each have a touchdown. I'm going to add some spice. I'm going to drop another little, couple jalapenos, maybe not a ghost pepper. It's not quite that hot. But Kyler Murray also has a rushing touchdown in this one. So you get a rushing or
Trifecta.
receiving touchdown from the running backs. You get a rushing touchdown from Kyler Murray as well. The Panthers last year, statistically the worst run defense in the league. They gave up like 650 more yards than the next worst team. They also were tied for the second most rushing touchdowns allowed. And in week 1, they didn't get any better. So I think you're going to see a run-heavy game script. You know, Kyler Murray can get out of the pocket and do damage with his legs as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up this week.
And you know the Cardinals' game plan ways to not get Trey McBride touchdowns.
Yes,
so.
Exactly. So they're going to
right in line.
Until they play the Rams.
They're going to get inside
until
the
they
5,
play the Rams.
and then they're going to run the football. So there you go. Those
They're
are
like,
our
Trey,
hot
go
takes.
down.
Just fall down. Fall down the 2 so we can run it in. That's what we're going to do. That's a good spot for us to wrap it up. That is it. We are done. We appreciate you hanging out with the NFL Fantasy Football Show presented by Caesars Sportsbook. You know the drill. Tell 2 friends to tell 2 friends. Rate, review, and remember, fries or salad sums up every adult decision you have to make. Be safe. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy week 2, everybody. And we'll talk to you again on Monday.